Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to SuperCoach Edge, and we are here, of course, to review the Week 10 NFL SuperCoach performance and see how we fared. Let's not muck around. Let's have a look. And we ended up scoring a 548, which was slightly above par, which was good to see because I ended up rising in rank again, I think now for the 4th or 5th week in a row. So it's good signs. It is very good signs. Season rank went up 297 spots to now sit ranked 1,639th overall. Now, 548 is a good score in itself. I'm now ranked inside the top 8%. I want to push to top 1%, of course, but we'll see how we go. We've got 8 weeks remaining in order to do that. The ultimate goal is to push inside the top 1K, and we left some points on the board, it must be said, on the week. That was because as we click into our team, you'll see our big recruit performed first up, and it was a perfectly timed trade-in of JT Taylor from the Colts, Jonathan Taylor. He busted out a mammoth 95. Now, you'll see here if you're watching us on YouTube that I had the VC on Taylor, and I had the C on Josh Allen. And you'd be thinking, why did you not lock in Taylor's 95? That's equivalent to a 150, 175 plus score in AFL SuperCoach. So, of course, you'd lock it in. Now, I will remind you, of course, a lot of these games are past midnight on either it be a Monday, a lot of them on a Monday, of course, Monday morning, which this one was. The Colts, I think their game started earlier than the others. A bulk of the game started at 5 a.m., whereas theirs, I think, was 1:30 a.m. So there was enough time there to screen his score. His game probably would have been complete before the 5 a.m. game kicked off, which among those 5 a.m. games was Buffalo's game. And of course, Josh Allen was my captain option. I was banking upon, of course, my schedule at the moment is all over the shop with regards to having our 5-month-old son finally home from the NICU. And whilst we're absolutely loving it, it does demand, as those of you out there who are parents would realize, a lot of early morning feeds and whatnot. And we had a feed scheduled at what normally would be 4 a.m. Now, we'd push this back to 5 a.m. Little did I realize, of course, I forgot about the fact that obviously with more important things on my mind, that had I got up at 4 a.m., I would have been able to see the scores. But because I got up literally 5 a.m. on the dot, the Buffalo game kicked off, which meant that the VC score from JT I could not lock in, and the captain in Josh Allen was locked in and loaded, and I couldn't change it. So that pretty much came back to bite me in the ass, and it meant that I lost 55 extra points that I could have used and would have pushed up potentially closer to the 1,200 mark in rank. But hey, is what it is. We're just lucky and happy that we got JT in our team at this right time as he popped off. You would have seen in my previous team talk video that it was a big investment to go for JT virtually at his highest price point. But as we know, you got to get in quality in the team, and that's virtually it at the end of the day. So with this, ladies and gents, let's just quickly go through the line by line and see how we performed across the board. So as I mentioned, Josh Allen scored a 40 with the captaincy. Not the worst, not the best, but I mean, in context of missing out on the extra 55 points from JT, had I been able to lock in that VC, which I tended to do, that would have been sweeter. But hey, 40, I think that was up there with the third highest score in my team. So not too bad. Third highest behind Jackson Dart with a 52. Now, JJ McCarthy, he is still making us dosh, which is good to see. Scored a 32, went up 2 million on the weekend to have increased 5.6 million in total, and has a negative break-even of negative 21, so still has some cash to make us. Moving to the running back position, of course, spoke enough now about JT, 95, incredible. CMC, Christian McCaffrey, 27, below par from him, but highly owned, so not too worried about that in terms of the damage done there. Bijan Robinson scored an 18, one of his lowest scores, I think, for the season, which was disappointing to see. It was his second lowest for the season. But again, high owned. And then Ashton Genty, as you would have seen in last week's episode of our team talk, I was weighing up potentially punting Genty or keeping him. But I think, with Javonte Williams on his bye for the Cowboys, we needed to have someone streaming virtually off the bench that's of half decent quality, and Genty is just that. So he scored a 27, actually above his season average. So happy enough with that, and I think he's going to be a very, very nice sort of backup option, and based upon matchup as well, someone that you can really use off the bench. Now, Javonte Williams will be coming back into my team, obviously, this week with the Cowboys coming off their bye. Henderson from the Pats, Trevion Henderson finally busted out a very nice score. In fact, his past two scores, 21 and 54, so really looking like some nice upside there. Increased 2.9 million in profit, which is good to see. 3.8 million in total, and has a break even now of a negative 32. So could make us another, potentially 1.5 to 2.5 million in a week. So great that I've got him on my bench. Wide receiver position. Now, of course, the good old Chase man, Jamar Chase, was on the bye. Welcome addition coming back into my team this week. Smith in Jigba, 35, just top tier wide receiver. Likewise as well, Nakua coming back into my team with the 29. Now, the sun god himself in Amon-Ra St. Brown, 28. Slightly below par from him, but again, around about that point of what I'm expecting from my wide receiver corps. Odunze, 35, really filled in admirably for the likes of Rice and Lamb on their bye. McMillan, 17. We're hoping for a bit more. He's probably the weak link when we're talking about guys off the bench that we're using as cover. McMillan, he pales in comparison to a Genty, even a Henderson at this stage. I think they're probably a bit par in terms of their ability and what they can really punch out McMillan and Henderson. Now, Rice and Lamb will be welcome returns this week, which is good to see. With the tight end position, McBride, 46, incredible. In fact, sorry, I forgot about McBride's score. So I said earlier that Allen had the third highest score. No, in fact, he had the fourth because he was behind McBride. So McBride, 46. Warren, 27, which is good to see, but is on the bye this week. And we will consider, do we trade this bloke? He is among the most traded out player in terms of the top 5 guys across the league, across the competition, should say. But 27, still busting out some decent scores and really, reliable as a tight end 2 position. Gadsden, the second, scored a 5. Actually lost cash for the first time this season with that 5, and equal second lowest score for him for the season. Tyler Loop, 28. Really good score from him as a kicker, obviously. Borogalis with an 8, but he's on the bench. Both of these guys, very similar scoring and very similar in average. Loop is a little bit better in average, but both of these guys, in terms of what they've been able to provide as that low-end price option, has been really valuable for the season, saving cash to then use elsewhere in my team. For the special teams or the defense, the Pats had an off week. So only scored a 4, but I think we don't fret. They are, I think, still the highest scoring. No, they're not. Actually, they've slipped quite a bit. They're the sixth highest scoring defense, but not the end of the world. I think they've got a decent enough run coming up with the Jets, the Bengals, and then the Giants as well. So I think we can probably back them in with a little bit of confidence, but their past 2 weeks really leaving us wanting much more. Score of 2 and 4 over the past 2 weeks, so not quite good enough. And we just don't have any confidence at all in San Fran, who we traded in way back in week 2, week 3, and they've lost a fair chunk of their defense as well, I think, which hasn't helped. So, geez, -6 from them, and their bottom basement price at 3.6 million. Yeah, what can you do? In our flex, obviously Jackson Dart, 52. Now, we pondered trading him out, a couple of weeks ago. Still had a lowish break even. Wanted to use him as collateral in order to get Lamar Jackson into our team. We backed him in. We traded out Jalen Hurts, and he went down to McCarthy, JJ McCarthy, and Jackson Dart has been going from strength to strength. Went up 1.9 million again to now have increased in profit 17.2 million, and just really, I think he's one of the more better averaging quarterbacks in the competition at the moment, believe it or not. An incredible talent, but unfortunately went down with concussion on the Week 10 game. And at this stage, I think it looks like he is going to be missing because he's actually copped some other concussion-related niggles or injuries for, I think, earlier this season. So I think they would want to be conservative with him with that because he's a long-term talent. Their franchise quarterback, you'd call him. And really, we'd love to keep hold of him a little bit longer, but he's at a really nice price point now. He's done us a favor. He's tipped over 21,490 to be exact. And yeah, he's actually the third best quarterback rank, believe it or not. So he is an absolute gun. I mean, didn't even start until round 4 or week 4. And he's already the, third best ranked quarterback. Says a lot. But yeah, he is someone that we're going to begrudgingly bid farewell to. He may only have the week off, come back, but now's a good time, I think, than ever to punt him for Lamar, which is what we're looking to do. So Jackson Dart, you've made us 17.2 million in total. We salute you, good sir, and we bid you farewell. So thank you for your services. One of the best cash cows this season, that's for sure. Now, in terms of just before we get into the trades, changes that we need to make of guys coming off their bye, which will be available for this week. McMillan obviously comes off. We're going to put on CD Lamb. And who do we put on? I mean, do we play Rice, Odunze? I think we'll play Rice. We've got to play him. So there's a full complement of primos in my wide receiver position. And likewise as well, Javonte Williams comes on for Genty. And we have a full complement of primos there. Warren is on the bye, obviously, in the tight end position. So Gadsden, the second, comes on. We're hoping that he can have a half-decent week as that fill-in and made us some nice coin, must admit as well, Gadsden. If Warren wasn't on the bye, I think we probably would be looking to move Gadsden on. Dropped for 30K on the week gone, but has increased 7.8 million, so been very, very serviceable. With that, ladies and gents, let's move on to the trades. And obviously Jackson Dart, he's going to go out at a very, very nice price point, and it's just closer to swapping to Lamar a little bit easier. Now, Lamar dropped 2.1 million on the weekend as well, which was very, 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 very handy. Has dropped 4.6 million in total as well. So we're getting him at a bargain, which is kind of what we've been doing across the board in terms of a lot of these primos that we're trading in, getting on them at the right time, apart from, of course, obviously, JT, who we just had to bite the bullet and get on him and fork out the dosh, the dollar dues for him, because you can't be missing out on JT as he proved on the week gone with his 95. But Lamar, I think he's someone that, he's got a break even to 54. You could potentially wait a week, but he does face the Browns, who I think he probably will have a half-decent score against. Break even to 54, it's thereabouts, and I think he can kind of, meet that. He's averaging 44.8, and yeah, he's someone that I think probably will score around about a 50, 45 odd, and I think lose a little bit of money. So jump on him. I think this is the time to get on him if you do especially have a Jackson Dart like myself. So in terms of bridging the gap here, in terms of price point between Dart and Jackson, it will cost us, let me just show you here, it will cost us an extra $2,440,000. So we're going to have to use a second trade to fund this one. And the way that I'm looking at things here is not particularly trading in another cash cow, because virtually after Jackson comes into my team, that's a full complement of primos. Apart from maybe Warren, you could probably leave him as a bit of a, an iffy one. Maybe Javonte Williams if you want to be a little bit harsh, but his average is above 30, which in my eyes is someone who is a primo. So who do we trade out? Now, we need to trade out someone in value. We could trade out Odunze, 11 million. We could trade out Genti at 13 million. But these two guys here are really good cover, as I've spoken about already. And if injuries strike, if guys are rested, which will happen in the back part of the season when teams not in playoff contention start resting players, and likewise as well, those teams that are going to the playoffs and are guaranteed a spot will start rotating guys on their roster, and starting players will potentially have a limited game time or potentially be rested entirely. So we need to keep that in mind. So we can't be decimating our, the quality on our bench entirely. So I think in terms of guys that we will be trading out, as I said, Gadsden the second is definitely one, but I need him to cover for Warren. Do I trade Warren down to someone else? Well, it means I need to use another trade to get in, a decent tight end, which I think we probably will down the track, but I don't want to disrupt things in terms of my tight end position at the moment. And I think what we kind of need to do is get in a genuine loophole player, which we haven't got. A lot of teams out there do. I've been kind of, so just really sitting pretty and trying to wait for guys that are on the buy to use them as my loophole players, if we can even do that. Now, it depends, of course, when guys are playing first and foremost, but we have enough variety in our team now, I think, where we can potentially just put the VC on someone that is playing on, the Friday morning game here in Australia, and we can just, lock and load. And if they score well, then, yep, we've got that loophole player on the bench. And if not, then obviously we lock in a captain elsewhere. But for me, a lot of people have a non-playing play in the kicker position, and that's kind of, I think, what we will be doing as well. Between Tyler Loop and Borogallis, I think I have more confidence in Loop just because of the high octane, really fast-paced offense that they built their game off scoring. Whereas I think with the Pats, there's a combination there of defense, scoring, and whatnot, and they don't quite have the quality compared to Baltimore. So the scoring potential and opportunities for the kickers at Baltimore with Loop compared to Borogallis is much, much better, the prospects there. So we will be trading out Borogallis in this case. And as I said, we're going to try and go down to a non-playing player. Really, I think the other aspect to this is maximizing the amount of money that we can get from this trade, because we don't want to be holding our last 4 trades with no money in the bank, because if we do that and you're trading out someone who gets injured or rested or whatever, and they lose money, and you need money in the bank in order to go up to a really ideal replacement. If you don't have money in the bank, you're cooked. You need to use a secondary trade in order to fund that trade, which we don't want to do. So in this case here, we will be looking at the guy Ryan Coe. I think a lot of people have him as their non-playing player from Tampa Bay. Won't be playing, and he's the lowest price point, 3.6 million. Now I'll quickly have a look down and see if there's any more, but there's Lucas Havrasik from the Packers. I'll have to have a close look at the schedule side of things, but I don't think it really matters. Unlike the AFL, where it's easier to manage, where you have guys that are loophole players playing late in the week or late in the round on a Sunday, this is kind of a little bit, a lot of teams are playing the 5 a.m. Monday game here in Australia, of course, those timings, where it's just, impossible to try and get a certain player from a certain team that's going to have late games. So I think here we'll just go for the time being Ryan Coe. It may change, but what's not going to change is getting a player in at the bottom price point of 3.6 million. So going from Borogallis to Ryan Coe will net me the difference that I need to go Dart to Jackson. I think it's around about 4. Well, in total, it would be 4.7 or thereabouts, I think, by going Borogallis to Coe. And if we go Dart to Jackson, that means that we're using around about nearly 3 million, 4 million to fund that trade from Dart to Jackson. So we will have in our bank remaining 2.290 in our bank for our remaining trades. So we will confirm that. And that is it. That's how we're looking at the moment, ladies and gents. In terms of VCNC, now that we do have Ryan Coe as our non-playing player, Tampa Bay actually play in the 5 a.m. games. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you need to put the VC on someone playing in the first 2 games, whether it be the early Monday morning game. There's only Washington and Miami. I don't have anyone from those teams. And then there's the Jets and the Pats. And there's no one really of high quality in our team from either of those teams to make the most of it. So I think we will try and, we've obviously got Warren as well. So we can use him as a player that's on the bye and maybe put the VC on, a Josh Allen. We could put it on Taylor. Does he play? Are they playing or are they on the bye? Oh, of course they're on the bye. What an idiot. I've just completely forgot about this. JT is on the bye as well. So it means that Genty comes on the field because I've got the VC on Taylor and it's got the blue strip over the blue dot. I'm not colorblind. I just didn't see it. So JT goes off and, of course, Genty stays on field. So I think Buffalo, like they play one of the 5 a.m. games, he'll probably be my VC. And it'd have to be a late game in terms of guys for the C. We could go for McCaffrey. San Fran play the 8:05 a.m. game. Or we could go for Lamar Jackson. I reckon we might do that, actually. We might go Allen into Jackson. And then we'll put Tyler Warren on field just in case we need someone as that loophole. So there we have it, ladies and gents. Quick fire enough. As always, let us know your thoughts, comments, anything in between, whether it be with regards to my team, your own teams. Feel free to comment down below if you are watching us on YouTube, or likewise as well, you can slide into our DMs on Twitter. You can find myself at DamoJ88. You can find us at SuperCoach_Edge. Likewise as well, if you are tuning into the YouTube side of things, please consider giving us a like and subscribe if you are enjoying our Team Talk episodes for the NFL SuperCoach season. And likewise as well, if you are tuning into the audio podcast side of things, please consider giving us 5 stars. And likewise as well, if you have a little bit of time at your sleeve, feel free to give us a review as well. Thanks as always for tuning in, ladies and gents. I really do appreciate your company. And until next time, all the very best for week 11, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.